Welcome back, everyone. It's Jennifer from Blackthorn Art Studios, and now we're going to finish our paw castings. On the right, the green one is the one that we had followed, and the white one is one I had done before and is a little more refined. And let's get to patching and mixing. So this time I'm going to do something a little different. Actually, it's the exact opposite of what I've told you. For your casting plasters, you're going to add water to your plaster. This just makes sure it stays a bit thicker and a little more workable for you to pick up with a popsicle stick, your finger, or any other tool. So with your casting, what you want to do, especially if it's very, very dry and you didn't just pull it, you want to be able to get a spray bottle and wet that down. Otherwise, all of your patches, your wet plaster against dry plaster is going to pop out like a bad filling. Because mine was pretty bone dry, I really gave it a good water bath there. Alternatively, you can dip it, but there's a little bit of waiting until it's not so slick. So I checked my plaster. It stood there for a little bit. I'm still getting used to this dental plaster. It takes a little bit to set up, a little bit longer than the hydrocols or the stones that I've used in the past. So I just added a little bit more plaster, usually a big no-no, but for patching it's okay. So I tried with my popsicle stick. I ended up smoothing it out with my finger, and yeah, I ended up ditching the popsicle stick. Plaster's fine for your hands. You just want to make sure you rinse thoroughly and wash your hands, and then also you need to throw on some lotion because your cuticles will dry out, your nails will dry out. Just not very good hand hygiene, I suppose you could say. With this, because you still want it somewhat thin, you're going to go after your small air bubbles first. Inevitably, they're going to be there. So with your finger, you're kind of doing like a spackling marathon. Don't worry about it looking rough. I will show you soon how you're going to deal with that. So I saved my bigger spaces for last because the plaster's a bit thicker, has a little bit more body. So to smooth all of those rough edges you just put in there, all you do is spray it down with some water and smooth out with your finger. This means less work for you later. So after all of the patching you just did is nice and dry, I like to take I'm not even sure what this tool is called, to tell you the truth. It's an old grandpa tool in grandpa's tool chest. Never asked him, he probably didn't know the name either. But it's nice and strong for getting into those teeny tiny little spaces and being able to carve off something. So a chisel, a really strong paring knife, anything with an edge that's going to withstand going against something that's like stone. I start out with a very hefty 50 grit to really get all of that stuff that's sticking out that I couldn't smooth down with my finger. Getting all the rough edges. Lots and lots of sanding. So after you're happy with that, you make sure it's dust free, it's clean. You can give it another spray down if you want. But then you do want it dry before you start painting. I used Sculpt Nouveau, I believe is how you say it. They're iron beam metal coating. What that is just iron powder suspended in a clear acrylic base. So it's iron paint. it's pretty cool stuff. They have other metals if you're interested, so you can do like a faux bronze, a copper, platinum, silver. If it's a metal, they have a color for it. Really easy to use, very much like paint. You can use patinas on it, but I started to forego the patinas with the metal coating. They never quite turn out for me, personally. I'm sure that's operator error. It's usually operator error. So I do a solid 2 coats, smooth out all my brush strokes, and then we make sure that that's completely bone dry itself too. So I decided to get a little different with this. I've had some Pearlex pigments, which are powdered metallic pigments that are super, super fine powder. You can see me applying those with a paintbrush. This is dry. I did not mix anything with this powder. You want to be careful because the dust does kick everywhere, so if you're sensitive or you're concerned about that, just wearing a basic dust mask would be fine. In fact, it should be recommended. So I'm just patting this on the surface and then giving it a nice little gold splatter. What I end up doing with this is that I use something that's called Bulldog Clear Matte Spray. That's also from Sculpt Nouveau. I did one really heavy coat. Since this is not going to be outdoor, I don't need the really hefty UV resistance and all that. These are going to be kept indoors. Words, Jen, try them. I also carved my dog's names into the plaster where it's flat. It will be hidden once I figure out exactly how I'm going to present these. But I just filled them in with gold. I dated them. I will know which one's which, but most people who are not the owner of your dog will not. So here's all said and done. We have our nice matte finish on that, and I tried to rub the gold powder off. It did not come off. Hey there guys, we made it! So there's our finished paw casting. Please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions on any videos, please let me know in the comments below, and I will post everything that I used in the description. See you next time! Happy making!